So for today's session, we are looking at efficient product backlog refinement sessions. Last week, we talked about product backlogs and how to create a product backlog. But in today's session, we are looking at how to efficiently manage product backlog. And the focus of this particular session is all about looking at it from a scaled agile framework perspective. There are small, there are large organizations. Every organization will be running backlog refinements more in an agile environment. In a waterfall environment, did we run backlog refinement sessions? I think project managers were running backlog refinements by looking at their big Gantt charts, reviewing the items in the Gantt chart, and spending time with various stakeholders to reprioritize and manage those items. We've made it more explicit in an agile environment that we need to run backlog refinement sessions so that our backlog remains healthy and answers the needs of our stakeholders. So who should attend backlog refinement sessions? Business analysts, software developers, testers, UX designers, customers, subject matter experts. All these folks can attend a backlog refinement session. And the preamble for this particular session is we are looking at what is backlog refinement, why do teams carry out backlog refinement sessions, how to run an effective backlog refinement session, and I was looking at touching on acceptance criteria for the backlog, but I would put those to the next sessions. And what are some of the anti-patterns with product backlog refinement? We'll look at those. So what at all is backlog refinement? We are looking at adding details, estimates, and order to the items in the product backlog. Though the word product backlog might seem a very bad connotation, saying that why are you keeping a backlog? Because from a lean perspective, a backlog just adds waste. But a backlog is a container where we hold all the items that will sit in all the product items or solution details that we need to hold. So it will contain the epic features, stories, non-functional requirements, bugs, issues, business requirements. All those things are held in the product backlog. And the product owner is the one who spends time inviting the relevant stakeholders to the backlog refinement session. And this definition is one that I pulled from scrum.org. Though I like the entire definition, it says the Scrum team. I'm very interested in those two words or those three words, the Scrum team. When we say the Scrum team, are we just saying the product owner, the Scrum master, and the development team attending the backlog refinement session? Then if we are going to use that word, then I would say it does not cover the entire number of stakeholders, or it does not cover the details of stakeholders we should invite into the backlog refinement session. So if I was refining this particular definition, I'll say the Scrum team, relevant stakeholders will decide how and when the refinement is done. So that will be my addition to this particular definition. But I think the definition holds, but just a few things to be added to it. From a scaled agile perspective, who should own the backlog? We've got the product manager who owns the program backlog. So we can have the team backlog, we can have program backlog, we can have the portfolio backlog. And these are large organizations. And when it comes to the scaled agile framework, the program owner or the product manager, did I say the program owner? The product manager owns the program backlog, and he defines the features, the program increment items, and the releases. They own the vision, the roadmap, pricing, licensing, and return on investment. This role can be considered to be the head of products or the head of value stream. At Philips, such a role is the value stream owner. And they do a wide array of, they do so much work. It's not only about refining features, refining stories, breaking stories down into tasks. No, they are looking at product roadmap, pricing of the product, licensing the product going into market. So it looks at a wide array of areas for product management. What about the product owner? They own the team backlog, they define iterations and stories, they contribute to the vision roadmap, they contribute to the vision and roadmap. But the product manager owns the vision, the roadmap, pricing, and all the enablers. And they accept iterations, whilst the product manager collaborates on enablers and accepts releases. What about the Agile team? Who can be in the Agile team? We can have developers, testers, UX designers, business analysts, the UX team members, and anyone who can help the team build that particular product. They can go into the Agile team. They build quality in and they evolve the Agile architecture. They own the estimates and evolve continuous delivery pipeline. So I've just mentioned a wide array of people who can go into the development team, but whom do we find continuously in the development team per Agile environments? You find developers, front end, back end. Then you find testers, mainly in the development team. And then you could have DevOps folks who would also sit in the development team. When you come to the product owner, the product owner could also have a team around them. The product owner could have the business analyst working for them, the UX designer working for them, and then they could have a subject matter expert working with them. So this is the group of people you find who would help refine the backlog in a skilled Agile environment. And this shows the relationships that exist in a skilled Agile environment. A product manager could manage 2 to 4 product owners, and a product owner could lead 1 to 2 teams. So 1 to 2 teams will belong to a product owner, and 2 to 4 product owners will work with a product manager, and the product manager works directly with the customer. And they own the vision and the roadmap. We hope that they can be co-located, whether virtually or in the same business environment. We're just hoping that these folks can be co-located in a business environment. So this is the structure for managing backlogs in a skilled Agile environment. So why do teams carry out backlog refinement? Can you please type in the chat area why you think teams should be carrying out backlog refinement sessions? Why would teams carry out backlog refinement? Is there any reason why teams will carry out backlog refinement sessions? Please type in the chat area why you think teams will carry out backlog refinement sessions. Where there's no product manager, the product owner doesn't do the job right. Is that what you said, Grace? Yeah. Where there's no product manager, the product owner does the job right. Okay. To ensure continuous transparency, priority changes, new requirements pop up so that they will always be working on the most impactful things as the environment changes. To clarify ambiguities, yes, so as to enable that priorities can be managed. Why would we carry on backlog refinement sessions? I like all the things I am seeing. Deliver better value. Okay. Please keep adding, and I would collect all of this and add it to the slides before sending it out. Get on the same page. Yes, those are the core reasons why we carry out product backlog refinement. I am a big fan of product backlog refinement for all the beautiful reasons you just stated. And this is the few I have got. To manage the stakeholder relationship, to create a product that meets the customer's expectation, to aid better estimation and better predictability, to ensure the team can deliver minimum viable product, MVP. Yes, when I say MVPs, I know a few people will have their hairs raising. William, what do you mean by MVPs? Let's leave MVPs for today. I've got a session that we can discuss MVPs. Yeah. It provides information on the feasibility of both technical and financial suitability of that particular product. And it also enables better estimation of the product. Finally, when we do a lot of backlog refinement sessions, it improves commitment by the whole team and provides healthy discussions. Please do add some of this. Why do teams carry out backlog refinements? Yeah. Can you all see my slides? Type in yes if you can see the slide. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. So, how to run effective backlog refinement sessions. I do get my team going into backlog refinement sessions, and continuously I do get this particular question. Hence, I'm running this particular webinar. How do you run effective backlog refinement sessions? I would say it requires preparation, planning, delivery, and taking feedback. Preparation, planning, delivery, and taking feedback after the backlog refinement sessions. So these are some of the things I'll do. I'll create a plan for the backlog refinement session. I'll identify the stakeholders who should attend. If you go ahead with the backlog refinement sessions and you don't have the right stakeholders attending, you would have missed the point. It's the worst thing you can do to yourself. Create a backlog refinement session and not have the right stakeholders attend. Then don't go ahead at all. I would just say, guys, thank you all for attending. I've made a big mistake, but this particular backlog refinement session, I've not got some important stakeholders. I can capture some information, but I don't also want to waste your time. I'll rebook the session and invite you folks to attend. I know this is the wrong thing to do, the worst thing to do, to tell people who've attended a workshop that they are not suitable to help you on the day. But it can be a waste of time, a big waste of time if you have the wrong stakeholders and you try to fit in a square peg in a round hole. It's the worst thing you can do to yourself. Better to cancel it. Just find a way around that. I don't recommend canceling it, but don't go into a backlog refinement session with the wrong stakeholders. We know some people can add value, but we want the best value. What about for yourself? Understand and know your product. How do you do that? Carry out research, read about the product. Pre-backlog, you could go into events, you could go into workshops, you could visit the customer, you could visit you could go to trade shows just to understand your particular product. Just know your product inside out, and that will help you with your backlog refinement session. Can I do this if I'm a business analyst? Yes, I can do this if I'm a business analyst. I can request that we've got a workshop or we've got a trade show on this particular product. I want to go to the trade show so that I can see what other people are doing. But usually the person who does all this legwork, visiting a customer, going out to competitors, or just doing a lot of this research is the product manager and the product owner. They will do a lot of this work. Yeah. So just know your product. It requires extensive reading and curiosity to know your product. Prepare for the backlog refinement session, and the backlog refinement session will help you with aligning with the portfolio. So invite the portfolio team. At the end of the backlog refinement session, use the feedback from customers and the business to improve your backlog. Bring diagrams in to depict different parts of your backlog and engage the right stakeholders to seek feedback. Analyze the backlog continuously. It's not a one-time event. It's an ongoing event. So if we are going to create our backlog, you can use this flow chart to ask yourself, is this the right time to go ahead with a backlog refinement session? Talk to a stakeholder about that particular backlog item. Is there a clear why we need to look at that backlog item? If there is, Ask the what, just gather more information about the product backlog. If that particular product backlog item is suitable and will add to the product vision, then you can go ahead and take it into the backlog refinement session. And this is as a result of a product, an addition from a stakeholder. But if you've got your product backlog with a clear roadmap, it aligns the vision. Have regular times that you have backlog refinement sessions. Yeah. Have regular times to have backlog refinement sessions. Yeah. So last week we talked about a product backlog, and I said, let me reintroduce this product backlog again in this particular session. We talked about the HR management system. What are some of the strategic needs of that particular HR management system? Increase staff satisfaction, improve processes, reduce staff management, document 95%. And this is the strategic theme. Bring this to your backlog refinement sessions so that everyone knows why we are working on the backlog item. What should go into your backlog? Your epics, your capabilities, feature stories, non-functional requirements, business requirements. Bring them all to the backlog refinement session. Importantly, always bring a product vision. This is a product vision that the product owner and the product manager will create and bring to the backlog refinement session. Make sure you have it available and visible so that anyone attending the backlog refinement session can relate to it or go back and verify if their views and comments are adding to the product backlog refinement session. These are capabilities of the HR management system. You can break your epics down into capabilities, and then you can break them further down into features. So we pick one feature and we break it further down so we can understand those. Yeah. Then we'll use the backlog refinement sessions to break the features down into stories. And this is where I want us to all be clear. A backlog refinement session is not just a meeting. It can be a workshop. You could conduct interviews to understand the product backlog. You could go and observe the users whilst they are using the product backlog. You can use research and analysis to refine your product backlog. And you could also use prototypes. So if someone says we need a meeting for a product backlog session, it's a one-way thinking. There are many ways that we can refine our product backlog, and it's not all about workshops. Yeah. And these are supporting documentations that we can use to refine our backlog. And I've been working with a lot of product owners. People say, oh, William, do we need a meeting for a product backlog session? Conduct a research, analyze your backlog, go and seek feedback from your stakeholders. It's not always a meeting. There are various ways of refining your backlog. Yeah. So what do you do in a backlog refinement session? It's a form of a workshop, a meeting. Have a clear agenda. Make sure you invite your stakeholders. In that particular meeting, involve everyone so that everyone's input is taken on board. As the product owner, you will introduce a set of features, a set of stories for that particular backlog refinement session. You should have done some work before bringing those items into the backlog refinement session. When you present those items, the teams will add to it, they'll review it, and they'll sometimes remove some parts of that particular product backlog item. If it's a feature, they might add stories, they might re-estimate the stories, and they might sometimes as well tell you this feature, it's not relevant anymore for your product backlog. But ongoingly, it's so necessary that you invite the right people into your backlog refinement session. My team currently would do a backlog refinement session once a week or every other week for the various products. For some teams, the product owners do a backlog refinement session once a week or once every other week. Set a clear cadence and carry out your backlog refinement sessions. What are the key takeaways in this 20 minutes discussions on backlog refinement? Create a plan and identify your stakeholders. Understand and know your product. Carry out research and always prepare for your backlog refinement sessions. It will help you with aligning with the portfolio. So invite the portfolio team. What if, William, we don't have a portfolio? Find a senior director who can input into the backlog refinement session at a strategic level so that everyone who comes in would align with the business strategic need of your backlog items. Use feedback from your customers to improve the backlog. Use diagrams to depict different parts of your backlog. Engage the right stakeholders and analyze the backlog continuously. I think these are very relevant nuggets for dealing with backlogs. Yeah. Has anyone got any questions for this 20 minutes fast paced session? Any questions? So whilst I wait for questions, this is a document that was shared by Juliet, and she's okay if I share it with everyone attending today's session. So I'll share it in the group area. If you are not in the group, please type in the chat area that you are not in the group. I'll send you the group link and you can join the groups. So this is a portfolio where you've got a set of epics. You have a clear epic vision statement, description of the epic, benefits hypothesis, acceptance criteria, the budget, business case review, architecture review, and then you break your epic down into features. And each feature, you could have the feature name, detailed business requirement for the feature, requirements category, requirement description for the feature, benefits, design considerations. And here are some user stories for each feature that you can start writing. And you've got some non-functional requirements and details of some non-functional requirements. I think it's a good document Juliet created. So well done, Juliet. Any questions?